The effect of long COVID on children. The 14-year-old from Dover, bedridden for 2 years. We've been contacted by more parents as families urge the NHS for more support.
You don't cope with it as a parent. You put on a brave face and you try to say the encouraging things.
Good evening. He has spent 2 years unable to leave his bedroom, and yet no effective treatment is being offered on the NHS. 14-year-old Hayden from Dover is one of the thousands of children suffering the devastating effects of long COVID.
He's lost the use of his legs, suffers crippling fatigue, and he can't concentrate for more than a few minutes at a time. This is sadly not a rare condition, and most of those affected were fit and well with no underlying medical conditions when they became unwell.
12-year-old Logan Dyer is another child whose life has changed drastically, and his family are struggling to cope with what they say is a lack of support from the NHS. Stacey Poole has the second in our series of special reports.
I'm always tired. I've got a lot of pains in my head and my joints, but there's nothing much we can do to help it.
Logan is just 12 years old. He developed COVID over a year ago, and ever since he's suffered chronic fatigue and pain.
Every day is a struggle for him. Every day, I can't imagine waking up every morning and having the same pain and knowing that you're just going to have to push through and that there's nothing you can take, anyone you can see, any treatment that's going to take the pain away. It's relentless.
The pain is crippling in every joint, even in his eyes, but it's mainly his head.
He's holding his head in his hands. The head pain is so severe.
They have seen the GP on countless occasions, gone to A&E and seen consultants, but so far the NHS has offered nothing that helps.
For me, the hardest moments are at night time when I'm tucking him into bed and he's looking at me with that desperation in his face of, Dad, what's going on? Why is this happening to me? What can we do to help me? And that feeling I get of not being able to answer him is the worst feeling in the world as a father.
It's been heartbreaking because we've watched our son go from this bright, happy, outgoing kid to one who basically tries to go to school in the morning and comes home and rests on the sofa or in his bed for the rest of the day.
But there are many days that he doesn't go in at all, and it's having a huge impact on his mental health.
My mood is definitely going down. I'm becoming more sad, yeah.
Because you're not with other children, because you spend a lot of time on your own?
Yeah.
He doesn't get to play at break anymore because he's never at school at break times. You know, he doesn't play with his friends anymore. He's a broken little boy at the moment because he's lost so much quality of life.
The pain that they are all suffering is tangible. So how are they managing to cope?
You don't cope with it as a parent. You put on a brave face and you try to say the encouraging things to keep the spirit in your home uplifted, and you tell people that he's doing all right because you don't want to burden people by telling them the truth.
These parents say the truth about what COVID can do to children is frightening. 14-year-old Hayden has been bedbound for more than 2 years.
I might literally move from my bed to my chair, all in my room, and that would be my whole day. Yeah.
And after you've done that, you just feel exhausted?
Yeah, I just have to get back into bed.
And are you in pain? Does your body hurt, or is it just the fatigue?
It's mainly the fatigue. Yeah, I've got mental fatigue, so brain fog, so I can't concentrate on much. And really bad physical fatigue.
The problem started 2 weeks after getting COVID. Dizziness was the initial symptom.
Every time he'd stand up, he'd get really, really dizzy, and he'd say, "Oh, Mum, really dizzy, really dizzy." And I thought, "Oh, you're just over 13. You're not drinking enough. You're growing. You're shooting up. That's what it is." And I was wrong, because he carried on getting dizzy and dizzy and dizzy and dizzy, and then it just escalated, really.
Neurological problems came next. Hayden, who was a bright student, could no longer read or concentrate on a conversation.
He would be like, "I can't understand." He couldn't understand a simple conversation. It'd be like my dad, who had vascular dementia. It's really, just so awful.
And then physical symptoms followed.
He just got to the point where I can't hold my head up, I can't move my body, I haven't got the strength, I can't move my legs, I can't move my arms. It just, and just a symptom after symptom.
It must have been terrifying for you as his mum.
It was, yeah, truly terrifying, especially when you go to the hospital and they're like, "Well, we don't know, we don't know."
The NHS has offered Hayden no effective treatment. He's not able to attend school, and his only hope of getting better is taking part in research trials of experimental drugs.
I'm hoping to participate in lots more trials, and do everything in my power to get back to how I usually am.
And do you have hope that that's going to happen?
I have to be cautious with hope.
It's his life, it's his childhood going. He was 13 years and 2 months when he caught COVID, and he's going to be 15 at the end of the month. And that is his childhood, and it's just going. And I think that's the thing that probably hurts Hayden, is his childhood is going, and he won't get it back.
Two very powerful accounts there. Well, Stacey joins us now. Stacey, some really moving stories there, and you've had an incredible response after yesterday's reports.
Yeah, the response has been overwhelming, and so many parents have got in touch to say their children have also been affected and they're struggling to get the treatment they need. But I think the overwhelming response has just been complete shock that children can be so badly affected, and yet more is not being done to help them.
Yeah, I mean, the overwhelming sense seems to be that the children are not getting the care they need.
From the children that we have spoken to, that is the overwhelming sense, that it's incredibly difficult to get any treatment at all. The long COVID clinics have been set up, but my experience of waiting 13 months to get an appointment for my son is not unusual. People are waiting 6 months, 8 months, a year. And then when they get there, the treatment options are just very limited. In tomorrow night's report, I travelled to the Evelina Clinic in London, and I spoke to one of the paediatricians there, and I asked her whether she was surprised by how severely affected children are.
We're seeing a similar severity to what we saw with some post-viral illnesses before COVID, but I guess what we're seeing it is a much larger scale. So that's more shocking, is the scale of it rather than the severity of the illness, because we knew it would potentially be severe for a number of cases.
Stacey, an incredible response so far, and I know many parents will be interested in that. But on Thursday we hear what's been causing the illness.
Yeah, we speak to experts about what's going wrong in the body and what can be done to treat it. And tonight at 6:40, we're doing a Facebook Live with Dr. Benita Kane, who is an expert in this field. So if you have any questions, do get in touch. Tonight, 6:40, Facebook Live.
Good luck with that. 6:40 Facebook.